Okay, so we will begin the webinar right now. I believe we have a couple of students and parents who have joined the webinar. So firstly, thank you to everyone for joining the webinar today. A very good evening to all the parents and attendees. I'm Khushi Javedi, the International Coordinator for the University of Tokyo in the office and the facilitator for today's webinar. I have been joined by Ms.Vaishnavi from the University of Tokyo as the sub-facilitator. We're here again for Global Network Project of the Ministry of Education, hosted by the University of Tokyo in the office. And through this webinar, we hope to encourage you to pursue your further studies in Japan. We'll give you an insight into the universities in Japan, including public, private, and national universities. And you'll get a comprehensive overview of the student life in Japan. Our expert panelists will help you today with any questions you have regarding Japan's higher education. So please feel free to go to the Q&A portal to ask questions about Japan's higher education. And panelists, please make sure to turn off your video and audio when you're not presenting. And please make sure that your presentation is within 20 minutes. First, we'll have a presentation of 20 minutes and a 5-minute Q&A portal after the presentation. So please feel free to go to the Q&A portal for asking questions. I'll be sharing the agenda of today's webinar right away. Please give me a minute. I hope you can see my screen. So firstly, we'll commence the webinar with a brief introduction by the University of Tokyo by Ms.Sakshi ROY, the Assistant Manager of the University of Tokyo in the office. Then we'll have a presentation by Ms. Vaishnavi from the University of Tokyo on the study in Japan. And then followed by the presentation by Meiji Gakuin University by Professor Prajakta KHARE from the Department of Global and Transcultural Studies. Then we have a presentation Kyushu University by Professor DARREN from the Faculty of Engineering. Then a presentation by Tokyo International University, whose representative is Professor LUTHRA, who is an Indian representative of the university. And lastly, we have a presentation by APU by Ms.Ishana, the Indian representative of the APU office. So now I'd like to request Ms.Sakshi to comment.
Thank you, Ms. Khushi, for the introduction. I'll just share my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, Study and Have a Career in Japan, Session 7. My name is Sakshi ROY, and this program is hosted by the University of Tokyo in your office and brought to you by MEX, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, Japan. First of all, before giving you a brief information about this project and our office, I would like to thank all of you. It's a great pleasure for us that you have participated in our webinars. Thank you so much for supporting our online sessions by attending. And I would like to thank all our expert panelists from prestigious Japanese universities for contributing into this webinar series. So thank you so much. Now let me start with a brief introduction about our office. We are based in Delhi and we are part of Study in Japan Global Network Project in Southwest Asia by MEXT. And, we provide information on Japanese university, not only the University of Tokyo, but we can provide information to all of the Japanese university as our office is funded by Japanese government to promote a study in Japan in India. We also organize education fairs and seminars and conduct webinars related to study in Japan to spread awareness about higher education opportunities in Japan. So these are all our office activities. Now, let me introduce our webinar today. Today, we are conducting session 7 of Study in Japan webinar series. And all these webinars are designed to introduce you to some of the best Japanese universities. We'll be discussing the various program offerings and opportunities to study in Japan. And you'll get to know about the courses offered in English, scholarship opportunities, and moreover, you have a chance to, ask your queries directly to the university representatives for today's session. Yeah. So there has been approximately 700 plus universities as well as specialized vocational institutions in Japan. And I must tell you that studying abroad in Japan must further your study, well-rounded education system. You'll experience a unique new culture and you have a chance to gain more international perspective. So no doubt you'll learn from the very best in the world and work in some of the most modern labs with great facilities. And you can also, learn Japanese easily while you live in Japan. And some of the universities also have preparatory Japanese language courses for international students who are already enrolled in their programs. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to me. For further information, you can please contact us at this mail address. We will be very happy to assist you. And you can also take a picture of this contact page, or I'll also share the details in the chat box for your reference. Yeah. So also you can follow our Facebook page, Instagram page, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updates regarding study and work in Japan webinars and related information. So many of the students are asking about the recordings of the webinar. You can also check the recordings of our previous sessions to our YouTube channel. And it would be very grateful if you can support us by liking and sharing our YouTube videos. Thank you so much for your attention. Please stay tuned till the end of the session, and I ensure this webinar will be profitable and the next few hours will be fruitful to every one of you. Thank you so much. I hope you'll enjoy the session.
Thank you, Ms.Sakshi, for the commencing the webinar on a very positive note. I'll reshare the agenda slide to proceed with the presentations of our university. I hope you can see my screen. So now we'll have the presentation by Ms. Vaishnavi, a PhD student from the University of Tokyo, and she'll be giving us an insight into the student life in Japan. So Ms. Vaishnavi, over to you.
Thank you, Khushi-san, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. And can you see it? Okay. So hello everyone, good evening, and thank you for joining us today. And today I'll be presenting about the general information of studying in Japan based on my experience here. We know that Japan is a country known for its rich culture and also technological advancement, and there's also top quality education. So whether you are considering for undergraduate studies or for graduate programs, there are so many English-based programs which Japanese universities are offering. And let's see about my experience of studying here. Brief introduction, I'm Vaishnavi Thakur. I completed my master's in electrical engineering from the University of Tokyo, and I'm in a D1 doctoral program, that is D1 student. And currently my research is on solar panels. So giving you a brief introduction about what we'll be covering in today's presentation, we'll first see like why Japan, why do we have to choose Japan as a study destination, and how is the education system in Japan is, and the cost of study, and then I'll be covering briefly about scholarships and the application process. So why Japan? Let's start with why to choose Japan and its salient features. So first is the world-class research. There are so many labs and the infrastructure in Japan where you can indulge in world-class research. And the second one is the safety. So I understand that students who are planning to study abroad consider safety as their highest priority. So we need not be worried about it because Japan consistently ranks one among the safest countries in the world with very low crime rates. And as an international student, you can have a very peaceful and secure environment. And the second is the convenience in the public transportation. So it is very safe and the most convenient option to travel. So you can easily commute till late hours and catch the last trains without worrying so much. And another worth mentioning aspect is its national health insurance system, especially for these students. We need not worry about our medical expenses in case we need to incur, because most of it is covered by the government, and the portion which is not covered, students have the facility to take it from the university. So these are some of the salient features of studying in Japan. And Now let's look at how the education in Japan is. So usually Japanese universities are classified into national, public, and private universities. The country is home to very numerous prestigious institutions that offer a wide range of programs. Whether you're interested in arts, engineering, sciences, or in business, you'll find a program that suits your interests and career goals. So most of the universities also have international collaborations where you can make use of it and go for study exchange programs or even participate in other activities related to your course. So another important thing I would like to cover is the difference between education system in India and Japan. So in India, it's usually a central based exam admission process. That is, we need to give entrance exams like IIT, JEE, NEET, so on. And then based on the score, we'll be allocated the university. But here the admissions in universities are in Japan are usually university centered. So each university takes the, selects the students whom it wants to enroll. So now looking at the language barrier. So one of the common misconceptions usually students in India have is about the language in Japan. So are there any English-based programs or is the language of instruction in English? So the Japanese language may feel very intimidating at first, but don't let that discourage you in coming here and studying, because there are so many English-based programs which are taught in university. For example, for the undergraduate, we have about 40 universities, and also for the doctoral and graduate program, 51 universities which offer English-based programs. And many of these universities offer English-based programs, like I mentioned, and these universities also provide language support services to help international students to enhance their language skills and navigate daily life in Japan. So whether it's through language classes or like having conversation partners or language exchange programs, you'll have plenty of opportunities to learn the language. And when it comes to the courses and curriculum, you can take them in English. So, so do not let the language barrier discourage you in choosing Japan as your destination. And when we look at the accommodation, the housing facilities for the students, Japan provides a range of affordable accommodation options with careful budgeting, and also students can manage their living expenses effectively. Furthermore, there are also many part-time job opportunities allowing students to gain work experience and while offsetting some of their living expenses. So there are university dormitories provided by the universities, and you can also consider the private dormitories like shared houses outside the universities. And you can also consider renting off-campus apartments. So another one of the common problems which students coming from India face is about the food. So like talking about Japanese food, Japan is renowned for its diverse and very delectable cuisine. From sushi, ramen to tempura and various other Japanese cuisine, it offers a very you'll have an adventure for food enthusiasts. You'll take it as an adventure. And for those considered about Indian food options like vegetarian, you can find various Indian food options and grocery stores across Japan. So you can you'll not be missing home food a lot. But since you'll be you are in other country, I would strongly recommend you to consider trying various other cuisines and explore new tastes and experiences. So let's talk about what are the expenses and costs of studying in Japan. So when like I mentioned before, we have national, public, and private universities. The only difference between them is the fee structure. So here is the tuition fee structures in these universities, which is, I would like to emphasize that this is not the exact calculation. This is a rough estimate of universities here. And when we look at the living expenses, so these are the living expenses which you can expect a student can incur when he comes here. So how do we afford these expenses, these tuition fees and living expenses? How can students afford this? So there are plenty of scholarships which Japan offers. So I would say that scholarships is one of the biggest advantages which universities in Japan have. So there, when we consider government scholarships, there are so many, like the popular ones, including MEX, JASO, and even JASO offers long-term and short-term scholarships. There are local government scholarships and also many scholarships offered by the universities. Besides these scholarships, you can also target private scholarships from the organizations here. And if you're looking for short-term study programs, then you can also consider the scholarships from Japan Foundation and also the Japan JSPS scholarship. these are very prestigious scholarships through which you can, most of the students can take advantage of. And besides the scholarships, like I mentioned before, students can also work part-time for about 28 hours per week with an average part-time salary of 1,500. And again, these are not the exact numbers. It changes from place to place. So this is briefly about scholarships. And now when we look at the application process, so today we have about around 3 to 4 universities explaining their application process. But in general, I would like to like to give an overview of the application process. So this is for the graduate programs based on my experience. So the first step you have to do is like understand the area of field you are interested in. And then you can go to the various labs or in the universities and find a lab which matches with your research interest. So with that, like have a research proposal and attach it with your CV and contact the professor. So in most of the cases, just randomly mailing the professors, you cannot expect an email from the professor back. Just emailing that I'm interested in your lab, I want to join your lab. So that will not work. So try to like read some of his research papers and understand the work which is going on and genuinely show your interest in the lab. So most of the professors usually contact. And then after that, based on the university and the application process, you might have an interview. And then later on, when you receive the acceptance from the professor, you can start with the university application process, which is a series of formalities. So this is the general application process based on my experience of the graduate for the graduate school. And so with this, I would like to conclude the presentation, by saying that Japan is a very peaceful country, and there's also a vibrant Indian community here. You might not miss home a lot. So you'll find various Indian cultural organizations, student associations, and events that celebrate traditions, festivals, and cuisines. So studying in Japan, it offers like many other additional benefits as well. So like consider all your options you have and take a wise decision, especially with the scholarships and how you will maintain your monthly expenses. So with this, I would like to conclude the presentation and wish you all the best for your studying in Japan. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A portal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vaishnavi, for such an insightful presentation. I'm sure students have been inspired to come to Japan and will definitely look into refer to your presentation after the webinar as well. So thank you so much for the presentation. I'll once again go back to the agenda slide. Wait a minute. So now we have a presentation by Meiji Gakuin University. So firstly, I'll talk about the university. Meiji Gakuin University is a Christian university in Tokyo and Yokohama. It was established in 1863, offering programs in undergraduate and graduate levels. And today, we have been joined by Prajakta KHARE, Professor Prajakta KHARE, who will give us an insight into the university. So, Prajakta KHARE, over to you. Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Hi, my name is Prajakta KHARE. I am an associate professor at Meiji Gakuin University, and I'm affiliated with the Faculty of International Studies, and within the faculty, specifically with the Department of Global and Transcultural Studies. I am of course, from India. I was born and brought up in Mumbai, so that's where I completed all of my education. And I believe many of the students attending today's session are, I don't know, some of you are probably learning Japanese language just out of interest or maybe as a part of your college work. I also studied Japanese language during my undergraduate years in college, and that was my first connection with Japan. And in fact, that's what brought me to Japan for my further research. So I did my postdoctoral studies in Japan after I got a fellowship here. And I've been teaching here for the last 13 years. So this is about Meiji Gakuin University. As was introduced, Meiji Gakuin University is a private university. It was founded way back, so it's more than 158-year-old university. It was founded by the Presbyterian missionaries, and as you can see, it dates back to those years when Japan had just opened itself to foreign borders for trade. So we have two major campuses, one in Tokyo and one in Yokohama, and these are quite close to each other. Meiji Gakuin University is principally a humanities and social sciences school. So we do not have any science and engineering courses. We have 6 major faculties, as mentioned here: the Faculty of Law, Literature, Economics, Psychology, Sociology, and the Faculty of International Studies, and I'm affiliated with this last one. We'll be launching a new faculty of AI and data science that will begin in 2024. So students will be joining this new faculty in 2024 April. Here's one of the views that we have from our Yokohama campus, which, as you know, is Mount Fuji. So the Faculty of International Studies was started in 1986, and it is one of the oldest international studies faculties launched by a private Japanese university in Japan. In this faculty, well, all students spend all of their 4 years. So as you know, undergraduate studies that's a 4-year course in Japan, and students spend all of their 4 years at the Yokohama campus, not in the Tokyo campus, for the Faculty of International Studies only. And this picture gives you a glimpse of the Yokohama campus. It's a beautiful campus. It's a relatively new campus as compared to the Tokyo campus. Our campus in Tokyo is more of an urban campus, which is like more vertical, but the campus in Yokohama is more green. It's more spread out. There are we have excellent sports facilities on campus. We have some friendly animals on campus, and students, as a part of their club activities, actually do take care of the campus and of those animals as well. In terms of the campus location, it is located in a place called Totsuka, which is in Yokohama. I don't know if there's anyone joining us from Mumbai today. If you know, Yokohama and Mumbai are sister cities. They are port cities. Both of them are port cities. And there's a lot of exchange happening between these two cities as well. So we are based in Yokohama. It's about a 10 minutes bus ride from the Totsuka train station. And in terms of the distance from Tokyo, Totsuka to Tokyo is about 25 to 30 minutes train drive. So it's 10 minutes from the main Yokohama station and about 25 to 30 minutes from the Tokyo station. Students usually commute to campus. They either take a bus from the train station or they walk to campus. It's a nice uphill walk, gets students some exercise. And those students who live in the dormitories, they usually commute on their own bicycles. So moving to the Faculty of International Studies, and specifically the Department of Global and Transcultural Studies. So what I'm going to talk about today is the Department of Global and Transcultural Studies. This department teaches all courses in English. So you can complete your 4-year undergraduate degree and graduate with a Bachelor in Liberal Arts by completing the coursework entirely in English. Of course, if you know Japanese, if you can speak Japanese, if you are comfortable taking lectures in Japanese, you can also take a few courses in the Japanese medium. But principally, all students can graduate by taking courses 100% in the English medium. We are a small department. Our department was started in 2011. And the Japanese name of our department is the Kokusai Career Gakka, but we call ourselves as GTS, or the Department of Global and Transcultural Studies. Annually, our intake is about 55 students, so that's how small we are. And out of these 55 students, we have around 30% international students, and the remaining 70% are all Japanese students coming from Japanese high schools. So if you join this department, you will obviously be studying together with students coming from within Japan as well. What do you study in the Department of GTS? As mentioned before, this is a liberal arts program. So we have divided our curriculum into 4 major pillars of sociology, culture, economics, and political science. These are just some of the courses that you can take in the sociology pillar or in the culture pillar. As you see here, modern East Asian history. You can also study European history. There are a lot more courses. that have not been mentioned here. In political science, we have professors specializing in North American politics, in European politics, East Asian politics. In the economic sector where I'm associated with, so I have completed my PhD in economics, and I teach courses like development economics, social entrepreneurship, innovation and entrepreneurship, strategy. We also have professors specializing in behavioral and labor economics. So these are some of the courses offered in the economics field. Of course, students are not expected to take courses in all of these 4 pillars. You can choose what you want to study and then specialize in 1 or 2 of these pillars. Apart from the main content courses in these 4 pillars, we provide intensive Japanese language education as well as second language education. So our Japanese language courses are mainly directed towards students who are not native Japanese speakers. So these are for our international students. And students who apply to us with an absolutely 0 level of Japanese, so who speak no Japanese at all, they can start taking beginners level intensive courses in Japanese. And as you may have heard, it's very important for you to know Japanese, to be able to communicate in Japanese if you plan on working in Japan in the future. So these courses will equip you, will get you started from the beginners level, the intermediate level, right up to the advanced level. If there are students who have already completed their N3 level, for example, in the JLPT system, or have completed their N2 levels, we also have career Japanese courses or advanced Japanese courses that will start preparing you to prepare how to prepare your resume in Japan, how to give an interview in Japanese. So they will get you prepared for your job interviews or looking for jobs in Japan. Students also are expected to take other foreign language courses. I mean, if you don't want to study Japanese, you can choose other foreign languages like French, Spanish, German, etc. And like I said before, if you are comfortable in Japanese, you can also take lectures in Japanese from the other faculties in Meiji Gakuin University, like the Faculty of Psychology, like the Faculty of Economics, etc. So the 4-year curriculum, the 4-year coursework looks something like this. In the first year, students have to complete some required courses. There are some credits that they must acquire from compulsory courses, such as the academic English program, which is also quite intensive, and that prepares you to write a thesis in in English. In the first and second year, students mainly focus on lower division courses, such as introduction to sociology, introduction to anthropology, introduction to social anthropology, political science. So this is where you start trying out different topics, different fields within the 4 pillars, and then decide what you would like to specialize in. You also do your second language courses in your first and second year. And from your 3rd year onwards, or from the second half of your second year, you start focusing on more advanced level courses in the field of your interest. So if you want to study if you want to specialize in economics, if you want to study more of economics, you will take upper level courses in economics only in your 3rd year. Towards the end of the 3rd year, students have to take a research project. That is, they have to start doing their research work on their own under the supervision of a professor. And this is what will lead to your senior project or your senior thesis. So all universities in Japan, all undergraduate programs in Japan usually end with a graduation thesis or a graduation dissertation. So students are required to complete a 6,000-word thesis in English based on their own original research. And the 3rd year and the 4th year is mainly focused on helping students prepare or do their research work, conduct their own research, and write this thesis. So this is how the 4-year coursework looks like. The admission requirements are, we have intakes both in September as well as in April. The Japanese students usually begin their academic year in April, but the international students usually begin in September. But international students are also welcome to join in April. So students who are applying from outside of Japan, you have to check out the AOA application guidelines. And I will also post the link to this application guide after I finish this presentation in the chat box. If you have completed 12 years of education in English, we basically do not require any English test scores. But if you have not done your education in English, we expect you to have an English proficiency level of TOEFL IBT of 72 or a TOEIC of 1560. The application period looks something like this. So if you want to begin your college in April, if you want to start attending classes in April, you have to apply in September. The application period is usually open for about a week. During this week, we must receive your application documents, and I'll explain what those documents are. The results of the first screening will be announced around middle of October. There will be a Zoom interview towards the end of October, and the results of the Zoom interview will be announced in December, and students are expected to enroll in January. So as you can see here, we have two application periods, the April admission and the September admission. So if you want to begin college in September, you can apply, you have two options. You can apply 1 year in advance, that is the previous September, or you can apply 6 months in advance, that is the April of the same year. And this is what the dates look like. All of these dates are also available on our homepage, and I'll share the link to that as well. But the general process is a document screening and then a Zoom interview. So what documents do we expect you to submit? We, of course, need your high school transcript. So that is your grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12 scores. 2 letters of recommendation from your teachers. If you have any other, if you've given any other tests like the SATs, or if you are an IB student, we would need transcripts for those as well. If applicable, then we will require your English, a proof of your English ability, and then a personal statement, which is in the form of an essay as to what you want to study in the future in our university. And so basically explain why you are interested in Meiji Gakuin University. So this entire application package should reach us during the application period, and we will be screening students based on that, and then we will let you know if you will be selected for the interview or not. As of April of this year, we have a total of 234 students studying with us, and 74 of these are international students coming from all of these countries, including well, countries around India, of course, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, etc. We also had students from Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. Now to the most important part of tuition fees and scholarships. So our annual fee is about 12,000 US. Every international student receives a 30% tuition waiver. This is a scholarship given by the university, and that applies to every international student that joins Meiji Gakuin University. So from these $12,000 that you pay annually, 30% will already be waived by the university. Plus, in addition to that, we also have a departmental scholarship, which is offered by the Department of GTS, which is either a 35% waiver or a 70% waiver. So depending on your grades at the time of application, you will either receive a 70% waiver or a 35% waiver. If you get a 70% waiver, I mean, if you've been an excellent student in your high school, and if you maintain your grades throughout your 3 years at Meiji Gakuin University, you can continue to get a 70% waiver each year. So this means that a 30% waiver by the university plus a 70% waiver by the Department of GTS effectively means that your entire 100% tuition would be waived. So that's the kind of scholarships that we offer, the university one and the department scholarship. But the requirement here is that you are expected to maintain good grades during your 3 years, 4 years at Meiji Gakuin University. We do not promise you a scholarship when you decide to apply. We will offer you the scholarship once you are accepted into the department, and then it takes the form of you pay the fees, and then we will pay you back the scholarship. So this system is soon going to change, and from 2025, students will not have to pay their fees in advance, and you will be receiving the scholarship at the time of admission. Where do our students, international students, mostly live? They live in what is known as the Meiji Gakuin International Student House, or the MISH, which is the dormitory. The dormitory provides private rooms for every student. You also have meal facilities, so you can take your breakfast and dinner every day in the dormitory itself. The fees for the dormitory are an additional 60,000 yen per month if you choose to go with the meal plan. And these are around roughly a 30 minutes distance from the campus. So these are very conveniently located, and most of our international students live there. So just to remind you of the key points of our curriculum, it's an all English program. We have students from over 25 countries with us, studying with us. Because we are a small department, we have small seminar style classes. So we have around 10 to 15 students. Sometimes if the class is too big, around 25 to 30 students in class. Intensive Japanese language education and off-campus studies. So I'll move on to the fifth point of off-campus studies. Who will be studying with you in class. So Meiji Gakuin University has tie-ups with around 83 universities all over the world. And students from all of these universities usually come to our campus. They will be studying with you in your class together. They are here for 1 semester. Some of them are here for 2 semesters. And they are all going to be your classmates. In addition to that, what kind of off-campus studies will be available to you? So students from the Department of GTS have what is known as the option of taking a double degree, which means you can graduate with 2 degrees, so 2 bachelor's degrees. The double degree program is our tie-up with San Francisco State University, SFSU. So that's our double degree program partner. In this program, of course, you complete 3 years. This is how it works. You complete 3 semesters at Meiji Gakuin University, and then you move on to San Francisco State. You complete 2 years or 4 semesters at San Francisco State. You graduate from SFSU with a bachelor's degree. You come back to MGU, and then you graduate with another degree, another bachelor's degree at MGU. So in 4.5 years, you graduate with 2 bachelor's degrees. Some students choose to do first 3 semesters at MGU, then go to SFSU for 4 semesters. Some of them choose to do 4 semesters at MGU. So they all have, they plan it in their own way. Of course, there is an internal application process for the double degree program. And also because you will be going to SFSU, you have to pay and you have to spend an additional $35,000, including your tuition fees for SFSU, including your stay at SFSU, and excluding your travel expenses. So that's the option of taking 2 degrees. The other study abroad program that we have is the standard short-term 1 year or 1 semester study abroad programs, which I mentioned. We have tie-ups with around 83 universities all around the world. And students usually go on these study abroad programs in the second half of their 2nd year. They go abroad, they study for about a year, and they come back to MGU. They can, of course, transfer the credits that they get from those partner universities. And in this case, you do not have to pay any additional expense other than, of course, your travel expenses. The third off-campus program we have is that of an internship, which is coursework plus internship, available at the University of California, Riverside in their hospitality program. So you do 3 months of coursework at UCR, and then you get a 6-month paid internship at Walt Disney World in Florida. And this also gives you credits that you can add to your Meiji Gakuin credits and then use for your graduation at MGU. Apart from this, we also have internship programs in and outside Japan. Some of our students go to Melbourne, Australia to work as teaching assistants. Of course, they all earn credits in all of these internship programs. In fact, students can earn a maximum of 7 credits towards their graduation. Yeah.
Professor
Yeah.
Khare, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Sure.
Actually, we're running out of time, so
Okay.
kindly
Actually,
conclude.
yeah, I'm done. And this is my last slide,
Okay, no
just to give
problem.
them an idea of where our students work after their graduation. And these are some of the companies where our students have been working in Japan and outside of Japan. And many of them have gone on to complete their graduate school. Some of them are pursuing their PhD, but this is where they have been working. So thank you. If you have any questions, you can always write to me. I'll paste my email address in the chat box. And this is the link to our Instagram page. You can check us out at mgu_kokusai. That's our Insta handle. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the compliment. There are several questions in the Q&A portal. So can I go ahead and select a few for you?
Thank you.
So one of the questions is, A student wants to know about the LOR process. How many LORs, a letter of recommendation, do they require when they're applying to the university?
2 letters of recommendation. Yeah.
Does it need to be from the professors only, or can their manager or supervisor at the company also
Yes.
provide an LOR?
Right. So yeah, they can be from a supervisor or from your boss at work. That's fine. So they can be from a professor. They can be from your manager or supervisor, like you said. That's fine.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and see a couple of other questions. You could also select a few if you
Yeah, I'm
want.
just going through them. Yeah.
So are there programs in art or design at the university?
At Meiji Gakuin right now, no, we do not have any design programs. But we do have an art school, but that is in Japanese.
And just for clarification, how many undergraduate programs and how many graduate programs are there at the university?
So undergraduate programs, like I said, we have 6 faculties that offer undergraduate programs, and the 7th faculty will be starting next year, which is AI and data science. And all of these 6 faculties do have their own graduate schools. But the graduate schools at Meiji Gakuin are currently only Japanese.
One last quick question. What are the chances of a student getting a scholarship at a university, and what is the duration of the scholarship?
So like I mentioned in the presentation, if you have a good academic record, you can get a scholarship for all 4 years. So out of our total tuition fees, 30% tuition waiver is given by the university to all international students for all 4 years. Plus, if your grades are good, we give you another, in addition to the 30%, we give you another 35% or another 70% scholarship. So effectively, 100% of your tuition fees can be waived. And if your grades drop, you could lose the department scholarship. But if your grades are good, you can use them for all 4 years.
And are they supposed to apply for the scholarship before enrolling or joining?
After the
Thank you so much for answering the questions. I'm sure students have gotten a gist of your university, and I hope students will apply to your university. Thank you so much. I'll be sharing
I hope it's okay to answer the other questions. I see some about internships there. Okay.
Yes, sure. Please go ahead and answer the questions when other universities also present them. You can go ahead and share a few links of the university in the chat box. Thank you so much. So now we have the presentation by Kyushu University. So Kyushu University is located in Fukuoka, and it is the 4th imperial university in Japan. It is ranked as 6th in the 2020 Times Higher Education Japan University rankings, and it is one of the top 10 designated national universities and is selected as a top type A university by the Japanese government. So now I'd like to request Professor Wall from the Faculty of Engineering to give us an insight into the university.
Okay. Okay, I don't think you can see my video, but hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Your video is currently turned off. Yes,
okay, hopefully okay, hopefully you can see me, everyone, and good afternoon to you. I'm Darren Wall. I'm from the Department of Aeronautical and Astronautical Engineering in the Faculty of Engineering at Kyushu University. And today I'd just like to just see if I can, I think this is it, share my screen with you. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to the start. Okay, great. So yes, today I'm just going to share with you some opportunities we have in the Faculty of Engineering. As was mentioned in the introduction, Kyushu is a very large national university. So we do have other programs in English, but today I'm just going to be introducing the programs in the Faculty of Engineering. And just before we move off this first slide, this is our new campus. It's the largest campus in Japan, the largest university campus. And this is where you would be doing your studying if you came to study with us here at Kyushu University. Hopefully you can see my mouse. The engineering is sort of in the middle of the screen and sort of halfway up the hill. The campus continues behind the viewpoint of the camera as well. So it's a very large campus. It takes quite a long time to walk sometimes from one end to the other, but lots of facilities are included on the campus. Okay, but where is that campus? Let's first describe where we are. And you'll see on the left-hand side here, this red circle. That's showing you Kyushu Island, which is the third largest island in Japan. And that's where obviously Kyushu University is. You'll notice we're sort of in the middle of a circle with these other Asian countries around us. We have Korea to the north, we have China over to the west, we have Taiwan beneath them and round to the Philippines and so on. So we're often described as the gateway to Asia. Transport to all of these other countries is very easy. The airport actually is just 5 minutes ride away from the center of downtown, so very convenient if you do want to do a little bit of traveling while you're here. Within Kyushu, if we move over to this right-hand panel, this red star is actually marking Fukuoka City. So we're right at the north of the island. We're on the bullet train, the Shinkansen line, which goes all the way up to Tokyo. And yeah, I've already mentioned the airport. We also have ferry connections over to Korea and other places in Japan. So that's where we are. How about the university? Well, we began life in 1903 as a medical college. And then in 1911, we were then formed as the Kyushu Imperial University, the fourth Imperial University of Japan. And engineering was established right at that very first time. So at the top of the screen on the left here, you see a photograph of the original engineering building. Over on the right here, depending what device you're viewing on, you might just be able to notice the gentleman stood on the steps of the engineering department here. This is, of course, Albert Einstein, who visited in 1922. I believe this is his wife, stood next to him here. So we have a very long history. Following the Second World War, the name was then changed to Kyushu University. And it is now a member of what are called the National 7 Universities, which includes all of those original imperial universities, and is sort of seen as the Ivy League, maybe, of the Japanese university system in terms of rankings and so on. So in 2011, we celebrated our centennial, and in 2018, we completed the Ito campus, which was the picture we began today's session with. We do have, I think, 5 other campuses, but if you're studying undergraduate engineering, it will be the Ito campus that you come to. Okay, so how about prominent alumni? Well, just to pick one person out, maybe I'm a little bit biased coming from the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics, but if we just pick Koichi Wakata, he was he did all his studying at Kyushu University, his undergraduate, his master's and doctor's program in the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and he's become a very famous astronaut. I think he was the first Asian commander of the International Space Station. He's certainly the astronaut from Japan who's clocked up the most days in space. Most recently, last year in October, November, he was up in space again, and did arrange a Zoom call actually down with our department during his time there. So still maintains very strong links with the department. Okay, so just to sort of summarize what sort of university we are, we've got this very long history. We're now one of the elite national 7 universities, which includes the original imperial universities. We're a very large national university, so we have almost 19,000 students, and we offer every subject. We have a medical school, humanities, science, engineering, and agriculture, and so on. And we have a very strong research focus. Okay, so so we're also a member of this Research University 11 group within Japan, and that's sort of helped us get this reasonably high ranking, world ranking. Okay, so what do we offer for you as prospective international undergraduate students? Well, in the School of Engineering, we offer 4 courses. Okay, so there's a course in applied chemistry. Applied chemistry has a particularly high rating within engineering, so certainly if you have an interest in chemistry, this might be a good option for you. Civil engineering, which, as well as all the usual courses you may expect in civil engineering, they also include lots of special courses where you can access some of this Japanese special technical knowledge on things like earthquake engineering or geo-disaster prevention. Okay, so Japan is pretty much a leader in some of those subjects, so this will be a good introduction, this particular civil engineering course. Then we have mechanical and aerospace engineering. So this actually gives you lots of options moving forwards into your career later on. Obviously, Japan has a very strong automobile sector, so that's one option, but aerospace is another option. We have strong links with JAXA as well, and so there's lots of different directions you can go on graduating. And then the 4th course is electrical engineering and computer science, and again, it's maybe a little bit unusual to have both those disciplines in one course. Often you sort of have to choose one or the other, but this gives you lots and lots of options, and you can obviously choose as you go through the course which sort of direction you want to go in. Again, this might be of interest to you if you want to keep your options open a little bit. Now, we don't have time to go into very fine detail on all these courses today, but you can get that detail, very fine detail, from the website. This is just at the bottom of this slide here. They will give you full information on courses and syllabus and so on. However, whichever course you choose, the basic structure is the same. Okay, so as has been mentioned by the previous speaker, it's also a 4-year course here at Kyushu. And in the first year, you do a slightly separate program, which is called a Kikan, or General Education Program. Now, the idea of this is to give you a really strong base to take forward when you move into your specialized education, but also to sort of broaden your outlook in as well, just before you move on to slightly more specialized studies. So as well as studying all the subjects you might expect to, things like calculus, linear algebra, mechanics, there's a course in physics, there's chemistry courses, they're not obviously all listed here. You'll also do a course in programming, okay, so developing some skills. So as well as those courses which obviously are going to be strongly relevant to your later studies, you'll also look at some subjects outside that direct connection, which just to help you broaden your outlook. So courses in philosophy, economics, law, and so on. And the other advantage, of course, it does allow you to meet lots of students from other faculties, and that will be pretty useful for building networks later on as well. I should say all of your studies, all of your technical studies are in English, okay? So every course you do will be in English. Apart from in the first year, you'll also be offered a Japanese language course. Okay, in fact, I think you have to take at least one Japanese language course. So the idea is just to help with your life in Japan, I guess. Beyond that, it's entirely up to you how far you take it. You can carry on studying all through your time at Kyushu, or you can sort of stop at the end of your first year. It's up to you. If you are thinking about working in Japan later on, or even if you're unsure whether you will or not, then I would recommend continuing to study Japanese language, because it's absolutely required if you do want to enter a Japanese company. Okay, so that's the first year. Then in the second and third years, you'll then move on to your specialized education, depending on which course you're doing. You'll be studying the appropriate subjects. And then from about the middle of the third year, actually, you'll then enter a laboratory, which will then guide you through moving into the fourth year for your graduation thesis. Okay, so you'll select a subject, obviously, that you're interested in, and then you'll probably the first 6 months you're just sort of thinking about what topic to do, and then the final 12 months then you're actually working hard on doing the particular, investigating the particular area of research you've chosen under the supervision of the professor whose laboratory you've entered. Okay, so that's basically the general structure. Whichever course you choose, that will be how your time will be. So we should say, what particular attractions does Kyushu University have? Well, firstly, as we've mentioned once already, we do have a very strong research focus, and there's lots of world level research going on here in the university. So that happens within the departments and faculties, but also outside the faculties. On this slide here, all of these four photos represent or show you centers of separate centers of research, which are separately funded, and separate buildings and so on. Often tackling fairly large problems which society is dealing with. For instance, carbon neutral energy research, fuel cell research. There's a lot of research going on about to do with hydrogen technology. There's wind turbine research here, and OLED research as well. So there's some very heavily funded research centres outside the faculties on the campus, which build up a very strong research environment that the university has. And along with that, of course, we have world-class research facilities, very expensive, big machineries and facilities. You're probably wondering, well, will the research focus, will that affect me as an undergraduate student? Well, it probably does in two ways. One is because you're being taught by people who are right on the forefront of a subject, they can therefore sort of orientate your undergraduate course a little bit towards the next big thing, the next technology. Okay, so you can get that very early feedback because you're getting taught by people right at the forefront. So that's one advantage. And the other advantage is when you do your graduation thesis, then at that point you might be able to you might be doing something where you can access some of these facilities and do something you couldn't do somewhere else. So we have a tunneling electron microscope, very expensive. Also a supercomputer on the campus. This is something I use in my research sort of every day virtually. Lots of wind tunnels and lots of other things to explore. A third reason, as I mentioned, we have Japan's largest campus, also one of the most modern campuses. So we really have some excellent facilities for your experience while you're here. Lots of study areas built into the design. Okay, so you don't have to choose between the library or your home. Really excellent sports facilities, and if any of you are interested in doing sports, there's a there's gym, there's lots of tennis courts and swimming pool, and even an equestrian centre if you like riding horses, you can also do that. Okay, so fourth advantage, well, the future career path. Okay, so in fact, most of our students, 80% or more, do continue on into graduate schools, and often those are very highly ranked universities. So we have a list of some of these on the right here: University of Oxford, University College London, the Swiss Federal Institute, and so these are all tend to be leading institutions in their country. Europe seems to be quite popular with our students, but also some students stay on in Kyushu University. We also have graduate programs given in English, so some students stay on to Kyushu, or some go to other places in Japan. And we also have very strong links with industry, so working with Japanese companies is also a possibility. So I've just, this next slide sort of emphasizes that we are very close to Kyushu, which is about 70 kilometers away, which is a big industrial hub of Japan. So we have lots of ties with different companies there. Yeah, I should also mention briefly, we do have a very small group teaching environment. So actually, maybe in your first year, some of the classes will be a little bit bigger, maybe 35, 40 students. But once you're into your second, third year, the classes are pretty small, okay? Between 5 and 10 students is probably the average, which obviously gives you a lot of attention from the professor giving the course. So hopefully that's a really strong advantage, I think. Everyone should know you by name, okay, in the class.
Professor Wall, I'm sorry for
Yes.
interrupting you.
Yeah.
Can we conclude the presentation soon, as we're running out of time? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So I think we've said probably lots about living in Japan already. So all of that applies to Fukuoka. Just to say that the city does, though it's a very big city, it does allow you very easy access also to nature and outdoors, beaches and so on. So you can kind of have a little bit of every type of environment. Okay, so just let's finally mention the admission procedure. These dates will become fixed very soon, but basically we only have an entrance once a year. So the next entrance will be October 2024. You need to send your application documents sometime from mid-December to mid-January. There'll then be a preliminary screening, so successful candidates will then be invited to interview. And then if you get through the interview, then you'll be offered a place around about March 2024. Okay, and then you will then join in October, from October the 1st, 2024. Yeah. In terms of what you need to apply, well, you can check the website for the exact details. You will need to prove your English level. I think something like IELTS 6.5, just to very briefly say that. And the fees are pretty reasonable. This is a public university, so the fees are much more reasonable maybe. So there is an enrollment fee, but most of that is actually given back to you immediately. So in essence, you're looking at this quantity here, about $3,800 multiply that by 4. That's essentially the tuition fee. There are lots of scholarships available, however. I think most of our students end up getting some sort of scholarship. So yeah, probably you don't actually have to pay that full amount. Okay, I'll let you check the details. There's a website at the bottom here. The details do change regularly, so just check those details yourself. And dormitory, of course, are also available at a very cheap price as well, in very modern on-campus facilities. Everyone is guaranteed a room for their first year. Okay, so that does bring me to the end. So I'll certainly look forward to any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the very insightful presentation, Professor Wall. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A portal. So I'll go ahead and ask a few to you, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
First being, does Kyushu University have graduate programs in interdisciplinary science or
Okay.
biotechnology?
Well, we certainly have graduate programs in engineering. There is also a separate faculty now in interdisciplinary science. I know they have undergraduate programs. I'm not too sure about the graduate side. I expect they do. I don't know if maybe Professor Tamura.
Yes, it is in another campus, Kyushu campus, but then there is a graduate school of interdisciplinary engineering, I think. I think I will share the link in the chat box of this program.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Just adding to what Tamura-san mentioned, and what Professor Wall mentioned, that many of the programs in Japanese universities have a very holistic and an interdisciplinary approach. So even if you enroll into the engineering programs here, you will not only be restricted to learning about one course in particular, you'll also kind of gain insights into other streams and realms of science. So yeah, for more information, you could look into the programs offered at the university. But yeah, this is one of the distinct features of Japan's education. Going ahead, when does the application period for doctoral programs begin?
Doctoral programs.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Professor Tamara, do you know the? I think it's a fairly different.
So if you apply for international program, I think it's happening in May. The application period is around that time. Then you need to take an exam in August.
All right, thank you.
But
Yeah,
depending on the which doctoral course you will take, so I'd like you to check the website.
Usually
Yeah,
it's September or April intake. But for the application period, it differs from program to program and university to university. So you have to look into the application guidelines of that particular program.
Yeah, the one big difference is you do have to, normally you have to be accepted by a laboratory, so a professor has, you have to approach the professor often first, whereas with the undergraduate applications, you don't, you're just applying without making any particular connection to Kyushu before sending your documents off. So yeah, you have to sort of work out, you have to find a laboratory and a professor who are, doing something you're interested in, and then you have to contact them and sort of get them to agree, if you'd like, to support your application. But yeah, you can probably find the exact timetable on the website somewhere. But yeah, it's a little bit of a different process for the postgraduate compared to the undergraduate.
Right. Two very quick questions. Number one being, what do you look in an applicant, in the prospective student? What are the qualities? Is it the academics, the extracurriculars, anything that you look into the applicant?
Okay, well, first, because we're, as I say, a fairly high-ranking university, we do get a lot of applications, or a fair number of applications. So obviously reasonably good grades or predicted grades is one thing. And I mentioned earlier, there's obviously a minimum level of English, probably not a big problem, I guess, for people coming from India. Apart from that, in the interview, we're sort of really looking for how much you can show you can show independent thinking, if you like, and we're not really just looking to test your your high school's standard, if you like it. We're trying to test the applicant itself, themselves. So so yeah, obviously it's an engineering course, so you will, in the interview, you'll be given sort of technical questions, and it's just how well you can sort of think through logically, and you know, your basic awareness of physics, and how you might problem solve, and those sort of things. Okay, so yeah, those are, I mean, obviously we're looking a little bit at communication ability as well, because engineering is a little bit of a team activity in most cases. So we're also looking at that as well. But yeah, I guess it's fairly similar at most sort of leading engineering programs.
I'd like to add one important point. It's a
Yeah.
research-oriented university, so we are looking at student passions to do the research in our universities.
Thank you so much for answering the questions. There's still many interesting questions in the Q&A portal, but due to the time constraints, I will not be able to ask them to you. But if possible, please answer these questions after the Q&A portal. Students want to know if EJU is mandatory, if there are MBA programs, and what is the minimum percentage. So I'd really appreciate it if you could answer these questions after your after the Q&A portal. Yeah, thank you so much once again. And please feel free to share the links of your university in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. So now we'll have a presentation by the Tokyo International University. So TIU is one of the well-renowned private universities in Japan. It possesses a highly diverse international learning environment with more than 1,300 students from 68 countries. It also provides an all-English curriculum to students interested in business, economics, and international relations. Job prospects are also wide for students graduating from their programs. So now I'd like to request Professor Hargun to give us an insight into the university. Over to you, Professor Hargun.
Hi, thank you so much. Just give me a minute. Perfect. Can you guys see my screen?
Just a minute. Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Hello everybody. I am Hargun, and I'm gonna be walking you through what Tokyo International University, or TIU, has to offer. Firstly, thank you so much for being here today. I am so happy that I'm getting this chance to talk to you. So I'll just give you like a quick brief about the university. Tokyo International University is located in Tokyo in Japan, and it was founded in 1965. It's a fairly old university, but they started with their E-Track program, or the English program, in less than a decade ago. So 9 years ago, the E-Track program was launched by Tokyo International University, and in that short span of 9 years, the program has grown exponentially, with over 100 nationalities studying on campus, having 1,500 plus international students on campus, and having almost like 78% of international faculty. That is university in Tokyo metropolitan area as of 2023, as quoted by the Times Higher Education in Japan. So we have a new campus opening this fall in Ikebukuro. So anyone who knows Japan knows that Ikebukuro is central Tokyo. So this is a very strategic point for the students, because you're going to be at the major commercial hub in Tokyo. So you're going to be where all the action really happens. Okay, so why would you want to study Tokyo? I'm sure you've attended presentations before, and you do have a fair idea of why Japan is or should be studying abroad. I myself have studied in Japan reasons of why I would want to study in Japan would be safety, because coming from a country like India, or from a state like Delhi, or other metro cities where being a girl, safety has always been a big question mark. Japan has been a country where there's no compromise on safety. Other than that, of course, the employer activity in Japan, because Japan's an aging population, so the job market in Japan right now is very lucrative. That is that, it's a fact that my professors used to say at the university, that for every one graduate student in Japan, there are 4 job positions available. So as an international student, that makes you a very highly employable person in Japan, provided you're fluent in the language, and also English, of course. So studying in Tokyo will give you an opportunity to witness the modern side of Japan as well as the traditional side of Japan. So on the left side of your screen, you can see Sensoji, and just a few kilometers away from it on the right is the Akihabara, or the anime district of Japan. So if there are students or any of you who are interested in a lot of anime, of course you could just, walk to these places and experience and actually immerse yourself in Japan. So I'll just walk you quickly through the 3 majors that we offer in English. The first one that we offer is a business economics major. Now, this is a very generic business degree that a student would want to pursue in business. It's very similar to what a BCom degree or B. Easiest way to describe this course is an amalgamation of programming, but focus to it. So you'll be also learning digital business, you'll be learning digital marketing, and you'll also learn tech transformation and tech innovation. So considering the time and age that we are in right now, and considering how AI has taken the world, by a storm, this becomes a very interesting course for you to study and learn, and also makes you very employable after the 4 years once you finish studying at TIU. Lastly, we also have an international relations major. Now, this is a liberal arts major where the students are going to global governance, international politics, security issues, and cultural society. So this is just to give you a gist of how internationally diverse our faculty is. We have Professor Matsuo. He's done his PhD from the MIT. We have Ishiguro Sensei, who studied at University of Sheffield. We also have an Indian professor who's done his PhD from the IIT Kharagpur, and so on and so forth. The list goes on and on. So the quality of education that you receive at TIU is high quality. Okay, so I understand that a lot of you might have questions about Japanese language, because that's something that we get asked about a lot. And then this was something that I was worried about when I planned to go study in Japan. So at TIU, Japanese is not a requirement for you to apply to the university. However, the plan is to make you fluent. So Japanese language is a part of your curriculum for the first 6 months as a mandate. So they'll teach you enough for you to go to a grocery store and buy your groceries, or go to a doctor and tell the doctor that you're sick. But after that, it's your choice if you want to study the language or not. We recommend that you study the language, because by the time you graduate, you will be fluent in a language like Japanese. And even if you don't plan to stay in Japan long term, you are going to be, fluent in a language of a country which has invested so much in India in the last few years. So even if you want to come back to India, there's so many Japanese companies for you to work here, and even globally, right? Like there's so many Japanese universities out there in the world, Japanese companies out there in the world where you can apply for a job. Okay, so if you study at TIU, you're not just limited to studying in TIU. We have multiple partnerships for exchange programs. So we have around 290 study abroad destinations that are available to the students from. So you can decide where you want to go and study, and you're not just limited to Japan. So these are the exchange partners. All of this information is available on the website. I will drop you the website link once I am done, and then you can just, have a look at it. So, of course, we understand that moving to a whole new country is a stressful task, and TIU has a student life support department, which is set up to help international students settle into Japan and at TIU at ease. So we have facilities like free airport pickups, free medical and emergency assistance. It's a 24-hour helpline that TIU has. We help the students to get like housing, and we have dormitories as well. We help students with opening bank accounts, applying for their insurance, and so on and so forth. So everything that you can think of or the parents are worried about, it's all being taken care of. So we have a concept of something called an English plaza, and similar to plaza, something called the Japanese plaza. So on campus, there are two study halls. That one is called the English plaza and the other one is called the Japanese plaza. At the English plaza, international students get a chance to meet with Japanese students who want to come to the English plaza and study English. So you, being an international student, can actually work at the English plaza and meet with other, foreign kids or tutor Japanese kids in English. So it's a paid part-time baito that you can do in the campus. Similarly, if you are an international student and who wants like some tutoring in Japanese, go to the Japanese class with them, learn about their culture and also the language. So this is like a very coherent exchange that happens on campus with the Japanese students as well as the foreign students. Furnished. The students can live into the dorm for up to 1 year, and after that, TIU is going to help you find.
Mr. Hargun, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Actually, you're breaking a little during the presentation.
Oh,
Is it because of the internet?
yes, yes.
I see.
Oh,
I
no.
think you're audible at the moment.
Uh-huh.
In case I can't hear you, I will have to interrupt you. If
That's perfect. Please interrupt me.
yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. So the students can live in the student dorms available on campus. There are multiple student dorms available, single person sharing, etc., etc. And once the students are asked to move out of the dorm, that is at the end of their first year, TIU is going to help you find
Professor Hargun? Students, please go ahead and ask questions in the Q&A portal until you can hear Professor Hargun, can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Actually, I
Perfect.
cannot see your presentation.
Yeah.
Maybe just I would recommend you to just focus on the important stuff because you are breaking a little during the presentation. So maybe you could just focus on the important slides.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can do that for a minute.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think it's better if we can focus. Yes. Can you see this? Can you see the scholarship?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So we have multiple scholarship.
You are audible. Professor? I believe the internet connection of Professor Hargun is not it's poor at the moment. But until then, I'll just talk a little about TIU. So TIU is situated in Tokyo. It's very much in the heart of Tokyo, and it provides a range of scholarships, private and public scholarships. And as it's a private university, there are more than 5 to 6 scholarships you would apply for, and this tuition reduction also provided to students. There's 30% tuition reduction, 50% tuition reduction, 70 as well, depending on the student's caliber and performance in the 4 years. And TIU is mainly a business school. It has many business programs, but the distinct feature of this university is that it amalgamates technology and business together, offers students the opportunity to learn about IT, but at the same time also learning about the business. The students have been collaborating with several stakeholders, many companies within Japan and outside of Japan. And one of the Indian companies is also collaborating with the university. And many Asian students, especially Indians, have been in this university and are pursuing their degree in business. So I would highly recommend you to apply to International University. I believe it has a collaboration with tech, and they usually people from Tech Mahindra come to the university to talk about their company, and there are also chances for you to work Tech Mahindra as an intern or as an employee. So I would highly recommend you to look into the university, and I'll provide more information to you in the chat box. But at the moment, I believe as the professor's internet connection is poor, you could post a few questions in the Q&A portal. We will answer them later. And until then, we can proceed with the next presentation by APU. Ishana, I'm sorry for the adjustment that you have to make. Would it be okay if you can proceed with your presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for understanding. You could go ahead.
Okay, great. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So hello, everyone. I'm Ishana Malkani, one of APU's India representatives. My colleague Diptanshu has joined as well. He'll help answer some of your questions. So we are located in Mumbai. We also have an office in Delhi. And as you can see, this is our campus. We are located on a hilltop with stunning views of the Pacific Ocean and a lot of greenery. We also have sports grounds, etc. And we are known to be Japan's most international university. We are located in a town called Beppu, which is quite close to Fukuoka and is 1.5 hours by flight from Tokyo. So we chose this destination because it is the hot spring or onsen capital of Japan with over 2,000 natural hot springs. It's also very affordable for international students, and that was one of the major reasons. It's a very small city by Indian standards, only 120,000 people. We were founded in the year 2000. With the idea of bringing more international students onto Japanese shores and to ensure that we have a really multicultural environment. And our students are known to be very friendly, so they make you feel right at home. So total, we have 5,700 students. Usually it's about 50% international students, anywhere between 45% to 50% international students. And that's one of the highest from the Japanese universities. We also have about 50% international faculty. And we have faculty and students from 95 different countries. Coming to Indian students, at any point, we have about 70 to 80 Indian students on campus. This is our Indian student group. This is India Week that we're celebrating. And we even had a chief guest from the Ministry of External Affairs from New Delhi flown in. So by Times Higher Education rankings, we are ranked 24th in Japan out of 700 universities. And out of the private universities, we rank about 5th or so. And for us as a young university, that's a really big achievement because we have not been in existence for that long and therefore don't have that volume of researchers and alumni over the years. But we hope to keep increasing our ranking position as we grow with age. We are the #1 university in international environment. So language, of course, we do not require you to know any Japanese prior to enrolling. However, it's compulsory at the undergraduate level to learn Japanese in your first 1.5 years. And in fact, one of our USPs when it comes to your graduation is that all of our students are very proficient in English as well as Japanese, and that's what helps us get a very good placement rate with companies. And then beyond Japanese and English, there are other languages that you can take which are optional. So we have 3 colleges. One is APM, which is management, or where you can earn a BBA degree. We have 4 specializations, as you can see here, and we offer a lot of flexibility. So if you start with accounting and finance and you're not enjoying it, you can change your specialization to marketing, etc. And we allow you to keep changing your specialization right up until your 4th year. And we are AACSB accredited as well as AMBA accredited. And this puts us in the top 5% of business schools globally. So we are also one of 37 universities in Japan to offer a 2-year entrepreneurship visa. So if you have a business plan to start, to have a startup of your own, you can stay back in the country and give it a try. So yeah, then we have the College of Asia Pacific Studies, where you can get a Bachelor of Social Sciences degree. And I forgot to mention this, but all our degrees are 4 years in duration at the undergraduate level, and at the master's level, they are 2 years. So here we have 3 specializations. We are very well known for media studies as well as international relations. We are accredited by the United Nations World Tourism Organization for our courses. And then our newest college is where you can earn a Bachelor of Sustainability and Tourism. So these are the specializations that we offer. And particularly for Indian students, social entrepreneurship and data science have been very popular. So accommodation, we offer on-campus accommodation at our AP House dormitory for all first-year students. And then from your 2nd year onwards, you stay in a shared apartment, which is outside the campus. Your first year residential fees tend to be a little higher than 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year because you're living on campus. But once you move on to share an apartment, the cost gets divided between maybe 3 or 4 students. So then you're sharing the utility bills, etc. Coming to scholarships, so we have our APU tuition reduction scholarship, which ranges from 30% to 100% of your tuition fees. So I've mentioned the amount in INR, it's an approximate. So if you were not to get any scholarship, you would be paying about 7.5 lakh Indian rupees for your tuition fees in your first year. And let's say if you got 65% scholarship, which is the average scholarship that Indian students get, then your tuition fee is reduced to 2,68,000 Indian rupees. I do know of Indian students who got 100% tuition reduction scholarship as well. And this scholarship is guaranteed to you for all 4 years of your undergraduate degree. So this is something you apply for when you're enrolling at our university. And it's guaranteed as long as you're not, failing classes, or as long as you're not having any disciplinary issues on campus, which of course is very rare. And then all of these are one-time fees for your first year. And then cost of living, in your first year, it comes close to 6 lakh Indian rupees on the higher side. But as I mentioned, from your 2nd year onwards, the cost tends to go down because you're sharing an apartment. So it can go down to anywhere between 4 lakh to 4.5 lakh rupees a year. We also have external scholarships. So right now I spoke to you about the tuition reduction scholarship, which is for all 4 years. But we have, we have a new scholarship which covers your cost of rent for AP House in your first year. So that's something we can guide you on when you're applying. So that's one scholarship. Then there are a lot of other external scholarships that will be applicable from your 2nd year onwards, and it can pay you anywhere between, let's say, 35,000 to 45,000 Indian rupees a month, which can cover your living costs. So there are some students, if you work hard enough, you can get 100% tuition reduction scholarship. On top of that, get scholarships that are covering your living costs. So essentially, and then once you get a part-time job, you're actually earning and saving money, maybe even sending money back home to your family, or saving it for yourself, for your new startup, or whatever it is. Okay, and we have 142 exchange programs in 42 different countries. So a lot of our Indian students opt for this if they want to go to Canada or to Singapore or to a European country or the US. You have an option to participate. And the best part is that our scholarships apply for your exchange program. So you continue paying your subsidized tuition fee to APU, which is with your scholarship. And I forgot to mention that over 90% of our applicants get a scholarship. So of course, you would have a very high chance of having a scholarship, and you would be paying our tuition fee, which would be a lot less than paying the tuition fee at our partner universities. These are some examples of universities that our students have gone to study at. We also have some double degree programs with limited seats. Part-time jobs, the hourly wage starts off at about 850 Japanese yen, can go up to about 1500, depending on how much experience you have. And we have on-campus as well as off-campus opportunities. And you start off with very basic jobs where you can practice the language. And then later on, you can choose something that is more suitable to what you're studying, like working at a bank or hotel, etc. We have a lot of activities on our campus because we are based in a small town. So our students do everything possible to keep students engaged on campus. You can start your own club if you find that the club that you had an interest in doesn't exist yet. So we have a 95% job placement rate even during the pandemic years. This is a bit higher now, and job offers are close to 100%, whereas job placement rate is about 95%. We have about 250 companies that visit our campus every year to recruit students. So this is a question that I get asked pretty often because we're not based in Tokyo or Osaka, which are the main business hubs in Japan. So students worry that are they going to have to keep traveling for interviews to Tokyo and Osaka in order to get their job placements, but that's not the case. The interviewers, the companies come to our campus to meet with you and with the idea to recruit you. And our career office helps you prepare for those job opportunities. So a lot of times students use the career office as support, sometimes through the activities, like we have business clubs and whatnot. Through the activities on campus, they manage to network with some startups that maybe our career office hasn't heard of, and they manage to get job offers on the spot. So a lot of times that happens. And we have a very good placement rate at the graduate level in top universities around the world. These are some, because a lot of students studying international relations are interested in international organizations. So these are some placements that we've had for students in the past. Just a few examples. This is a student from Delhi. He is now working at Dentsu after studying social sciences at APU. She's a student from Chennai who is now working at a large cosmetics company called Kosei Corporation. She's now based in Tokyo. And this is Sahil. He is from Lucknow, and he was working at Apple in Tokyo when I met him, when I visited APU. He then moved back to Delhi for family reasons, and he was working at Mitsui & Co. And currently he works at Apple once again, but now in the UAE. So as you can see, a lot of our Indian students have a lot of global opportunities available to them. So this is the application period for our undergraduate students, but don't worry about taking notes. We can be in touch if you're interested in applying. And I'm not sure how much time I have left, but I've not touched upon our master's programs because this is pretty short, but we do have an MBA program and we do have MSc programs very similar to what we offer at the undergraduate level. So if you're interested in international relations, social sciences, etc., as well as an MBA program, we have those as options for you. So you can get in touch and we can guide you further on that. I'll ask my colleague Diptanshu to post in the chat some links as well as our contact details so you can be in touch. And we are very active on social media. So if you would like to see what all is going on our campus, then feel free to follow us. So yeah, that's all that we have for now. I'm looking forward to taking your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ishana, for the very detailed and the very comprehensive presentation on APU. There were a couple of questions in the Q&A portal, but I believe many of them have been answered by the panelists. But I'll go ahead and ask you a few questions. So, does APU have programs in psychology?
No, so unfortunately, while we do offer small courses, credit courses in psychology, organizational psychology, as well as clinical, it's at a very basic level. So it's not a degree in psychology. Hopefully, maybe at some point, like we just added a new college of sustainability and tourism. So maybe in the future, but not at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you share us a little information on the MBA and
Sure.
the application process? How many application periods are there? Documentation?
Sure. So at the master's level, as I mentioned, these are 2-year degrees. The MBA program would be approximately, I think, $17,000 per year in terms of cost. But that being said, so it is our most expensive program, so to speak. But at the end of the day, almost all our students get really good scholarships, especially at the master's level. There's a lot more availability of scholarships, and not only do APU offer our own in-house scholarships, but there's also MEXT and whatnot. So students can apply, and whichever scholarship comes out the highest for them, that one will apply. So for the MBA, just keep in mind that, so because of the accreditations that we have to follow very strict enrollment criteria, which is you need 3 years of work experience in order to be eligible for our MBA program. We do not require a GMAT or GRE. That is optional. If you've taken a GMAT, then you can submit your scores, but it's not a necessity. But what's non-negotiable is the 3 years of work experience. And we have different majors like finance and management, etc. So we've shared a link to the graduate prospectus. So you'll find that there's more detail there. And we have a separate graduate admissions team that I can put you in touch with. And also another thing is we have a lot of friendly students willing to offer support to students from India who are interested in enrolling. So if you want to speak to any one of our students or alumni from any specific course, you can always request that, and we can put you in touch over WhatsApp or fix up a Zoom call so you can hear directly from the students about what their experience has been, and they can guide you. Yeah, and any other questions for?
Yes, there are a few. So I would like to know one of the students wants to know what are the requirements for APU, the cutoff, and is SAT scores required?
Okay.
For undergraduate programs, I believe. Yeah.
Sure. So SAT scores not required. Coming to the cutoff, to be honest, it's not difficult to get admission at our university. Let's say in CBSE, you need like 65% and above, and you may just get admission. It's not a strict cutoff. It just depends on the quality of applications that we get in that year. What gets more competitive is the scholarship. So let's say to get a 65% scholarship, which is the average scholarship that the Indian students that apply get, I would say CBSE would need 82% plus. And also we look at your English proficiency score. So there are 4 things that we look at for your scholarship. One is your academic scores. So I've given you an idea, at least for CBSE, regarding the cutoffs. And then we look at your IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo score. It's not compulsory to submit an English proficiency test if you've studied in English medium school, but we highly recommend it because it can really boost your chances of scholarship. So we highly recommend submitting that. Then we look at your extracurriculars and how you filled up your application form, including the essays. And then finally, we conduct a 15-minute interview, which is more personality based to get to know what you aspire to be and why you've chosen what you have and why you want to study in Japan. And just to see that you're perfectly friendly and polite, because that's very important part of our campus ethos. So these 4 things will get you a good scholarship at APU. And yeah, to get 100% scholarship, I can't say again, it depends on the students that apply and how competitive it is in that year. But I guess I would say 90% plus, you will have a chance of 100% scholarship. And sorry, did I answer? There were 2 questions or one that...
You answered all the questions perfectly. There is the 2 questions in the Q&A portal. Please give me a minute.
Yeah.
So for Ritsumeikan University, for Ritsumeikan APU, EJU is not a requirement, I believe.
Sorry, what's that?
EJU, the entrance of Japanese.
Oh, no, it's not required.
Okay. All right.
And SAT is not required as well. If you've taken your SAT and you think your score is decent, you can submit that. So we try to give students the benefit of the doubt. If you submit something and it's adding value to your application, we consider it. If it's an extra document, that is, like SAT. Whereas if you've submitted it, but it's not really giving you it's not really going to give you any brownie points, then we don't consider it as part of your application.
I think that answers all the questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer them. You could go ahead and answer a few questions in the Q&A portal if students ask more. But yes, thank you so much, Ms. Ishana and Mr. Tanshu, for taking the time to present about APU. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Please feel free to share the links of the university in the Q&A, in the chat box. Sorry. I'll share the screen again. Students, please make sure that you're saving all the links that are in the chat box. You could refer to these links even after the presentation. Please give me a minute. So this marks the end of our webinar. You can scan this QR code to register for the upcoming webinars. I will also be sharing the links of the University of Tokyo India office site. You can register for upcoming webinars and can also be updated with all the information about our outreach webinars. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. I'll share the email address as well with but please save this QR code and register for the upcoming webinars. And we hope to see you in the coming webinars. The next webinar, I believe, is in 2 weeks. So I think 26th August. But please check the QR code to get to check when the actual webinar is. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to save all the links in the chat box. And please give me a minute. I'll share the links of the University of. And we apologize for the poor network I think, from Tokyo International University. But I hope you've gotten a little idea of what the university is about. If you're interested in business especially, please feel free to apply to that university. And we apologize for the inconvenience. I'll share the links in the chat box. And thank you to all the representatives of the university who were presenting. It was really insightful, and as the application periods for all the universities will begin soon, I hope students from our platform is encouraged to apply to your universities. So thank you very much for presenting, and please save the links that are in the chat box. If you have questions, you can ask in the Q&A portal. We'll try to answer them. Yes, I have sent the University of India office email address. Please register for upcoming webinars as well. Thank you so much.